Okay, point 4. Since we cannot observe what happened at the creation of the universe, we are left with God's revelation to mankind in the Bible of what happened. And it's easily read properly and thought through carefully. It's the most reliable account, especially when we see the accounts of what we observe today around the earth as far as creation is concerned. Therefore, if we really want to know anything about this creation period, other than the fact that there must have been such a period to produce the universe, a fact certainly required by the implications of the 2 laws of thermodynamics, then such knowledge can be acquired only by divine revelation. And we have it there for us, and it's very, very consistent from one manuscript evidence to the other and one translation to the other. They're so reliable that the only problem with man is man himself and his desire to interpret it properly. And that is exactly what we have here in this marvelous first chapter of Genesis, the divinely revealed record of the creation and formation of all things, how long it took, what the various events and divisions were, including days and 24-hour afternoon and morning, evening and morning, what the order of development was, the relations of the various components, and all the other data which man could never be able to determine for himself through his own scientific observations, not after the flood, the worldwide flood. This completion of God's work of creation is also stressed in the New Testament, Hebrews 4:3, 4 and 10, 11:3, Ephesians 3:9, and so on. Now we get to chapter 2. Matthew, do you hear this? We get to chapter 2 at 2:4b, second phrase of 2:4, Genesis chapter. Goes on to 25. 2:4b, Holman Standard is a good translation. In the day that the Lord God made earth and the heavens, and all the scrubs of the field, they were not yet, in the sense of grown, on the earth. See? Panoramic, chapter 1. Screen in, focus in to a small area. In the day that the Lord made heaven, earth, and the heavens, and all the shrubs in the field, they were not yet in the sense of grown on earth, and all the plants of the field were not yet sprouted, because the Lord God had not made it rain on the earth, and there was no man to work the ground. Backtrack. Span in. Pan in. But the mist went up from the earth and watered the whole face of the ground. More details, just like in a regular movie. No big deal. You know who the best movie maker was? God. And Jehovah God forms the man. Now we're back there when God formed the man, Yatsar, the man, from dust from the ground. Gets the details of it. Nothing's changed. And breathes into his nostrils breaths of lives, plural, masculine plural, 2 lives in one living being, existing together, man's soul and his human spirit, and the man becomes a living creature. So let's backtrack. Wait a minute. Now here, wait a minute. And all the shrubs in the field, they were not yet in the sense of grown on the earth. And all the plants of the field were not yet sprouted, because the Lord God had not made it rain on the earth, and there was no man to work the ground. But a mist went up from the earth and watered the whole face of the ground. That seems out of order. Keep reading. The best movie maker in the world keeps it interesting. God himself. And Jehovah God forms. Now, right there before your eyes, he forms the man from the dust from the ground and breathes into his nostrils. Breaths into his nostrils. Breathes. I think it's an E at the end there. And breathes into his nostrils breath of lives. So it's plural, lives. Hebrew, hayim, masculine, plural. 2 lives into one being, one living being, into one living being existing together, man's soul and his human spirit, and the man becomes a living creature. Wow. There's no contradiction yet. Give it some space. Read some more. Be interested in God's movie. It's more important than any of the movies you ever watched. And Jehovah God was planting in perfect mood an ongoing planting a garden in the Eden. Oh, God's planting a garden at the east. You know, you go outside in the backyard, you find a good area of soil, and you start planting a garden. Is that you, the creator of everything of the foliage? No, you're creating new plants, just like God is here in the Garden of Eden at the east. And he was setting in perfect mood. They were there, the man whom he had formed, perfect mood. Okay? He had formed him, and he's setting him there, and Jehovah God was causing imperfect to sprout from the ground every tree desirable for appearance in the garden, and good for food, and the tree of life in the midst of the garden, and the tree of knowledge of good and evil. And a river is going out from Eden to water the garden, and from thence it is parted and has become 4 riverheads. Is there any contradiction? No. Give the author of the movie a chance. Don't stand up in the movie theater and scream and yell because you don't like the editorializing of the movie production crew. You're going to be kicked out of the movie theater. The name of the first is Pishon. It is the one which skirts the whole land of Havilah, where there is gold. And the gold of that land is good. Bdellium and the onyx stone are there. The name of the second river is Gihon. It is the one which goes around the whole land of Cush. The name of the third river is Hiddekel. It is the one which goes toward the east of Assyria. The fourth river is the Euphrates. Are you now convinced? We've panned in a particular area of the world. We know where those 4 rivers are. Just keep looking on the geographical books here, ancient ones. And Jehovah God takes imperfect mood, the man, and causes him, imperfect mood, that's ongoing, to settle down and rest in the Garden of Eden, to work it and to keep it, the ground. And the Lord God commands the man, saying, of every tree of the Garden of Eden, of the garden, you may freely eat. See, I love these moods, these verbs. It's an ongoing thing. It's a movie. We panned in. We're getting really, really interested in God's relationship with man. Where is there the woman? Ah, you ask. Keep reading. Stop making up your own mind how you want to produce the movie. It's God that's the creator. So, the Lord God commands the man, saying, of every tree of the garden you may freely eat. That's how it opens up, this pan-in movie. And of the tree of knowledge of good and evil, you do not eat of it, for in the day of your eating of it, dying you do die. Notice 2 deaths. And Jehovah God saith, it is not good for the man to be alone. I do make to him an helper. Now you're being talked to. In this pan-in version, God is narrating for you as his counterpart corresponding to him. And Jehovah God forms from the ground every beast of the field and every fowl of the heavens, and brings in unto the man. Notice more creation of the same things that he had created the worldwide, right? He's going to bring it to the man. So the Jehovah God forms from the ground every beast of the field and every fowl of the heavens, and brings in unto the man to see what he calls it, getting him to participate. And whatever the man calls the living creature, that is its name. There's a smart creature here, this man, far better than I can do. I won't even remember the last name, never mind all the ones I named. And the man calls names to all the cattle, and to fowl of the heavens, and to every beast of the field. God was busy creating all these animals that he had created worldwide, now just for the man in the garden area, so he could name them. And to every beast of the field, and to man has not been found an helper as his counterpart. He's making it clear. What's he going to do? There's some mystery here. There's some suspense. Let God tell a story. You know, we're going to see this in the new heavens and the new earth. And the Lord God caused a deep sleep to fall on Adam, and he slept. And he took one of his ribs and closed up the flesh in its place. That's unusual. He didn't do that with everything else. And Jehovah God builds up the rib, which he has taken out of the man, into a woman, and brings her unto the man. And the man said, this one this time is bone of my bone and flesh of my flesh. It implies something. The man is looking for somebody like him because he's seeing the plants and the animals have helpers. So, especially the animals and the birds. So Jehovah God builds up the rib which he has taken out of the man into a woman, and brings her unto the man. And the man said, this one this time is bone of my bone and flesh of my flesh. This one will be called woman, for she was taken from man. Therefore does a man leave his father and his mother, and is cleaved unto his wife, and they have become one flesh. Isn't it amazing? God is narrating for you an understanding that this is the beginning of creation, and here's your responsibility. This woman, yet there's no father, no mother yet, just the man and the woman. He's giving you a narration, giving you some suspense to work forward. Take this word under advisement. And they are both of them naked, and the man and his wife, and they are not ashamed of themselves. See, he's giving you a perspective of this day and age of sin. Being naked is a sinful thing in front of others who are not your mate. Okay, so are we good on that? See, God is giving you a great movie. Don't try to narrate it unto yourself and cherry pick and twist and turn. This is the great God, Creator God, talking to you, setting things apart. Has anything ever been contradictory in the whole Bible from this point on? No. But it is if you twist it and turn it. So point A, Genesis 2:4b, the names for God differing between chapters 1 and 2, beginning at 2:4b, indicate a context change. Subtle thing, not a contradiction or a change in authors, as some contend. The name change signifies and corroborates the beginning of chapter 2 to be at Genesis 2:4b. See, we're nitpicking on these things. Look for the finer details. That's what the panning in is all about. You saw the panoramic. Now you pan in to get the details. Don't try to re-edit the details. These are important. Genesis 2:4a, these are the accounts of the heavens and of the earth when they were created, looking back to chapter 1. Chapter 2 begins, 2:4b, Holman Standard, in the day that the Lord God, He, Yahweh Elohim, made earth and the heavens. Two names for Yahweh Elohim. God is referred to in Genesis 1:1 to 2:4a throughout the chapter as Elohim, rendered God, and as Elohim Yahweh, rendered Lord God or Jehovah God from Genesis 2:4b on throughout Genesis chapter 2. Interesting. Did you notice that? Its presence in 2:4b signifies and corroborates the beginning of chapter 2 at that point. Notice it's Jehovah God. So there's two parts to the name of God. Elohim, the creator of all things, but then he gets personal with man, and it's Jehovah, Yahweh, Elohim. This compound name for God, Elohim Yahweh, combines the most sacred, holy, and personal name for God, Yahweh, with Elohim, the absolutely sovereign creator God who is involved in every minute detail of his creation, a creation which he had in chapter 1 repeatedly stated as good and very good. It is clear that author Moses changed from a focus upon the sovereign God who created the heavens and the earth in a panoramic and distant view in chapter 1 to a close-up of his panoramic to the close-up of his relationship with that creation, especially Adam in chapter 2. The evidence of this includes that there doesn't have to be another author. I can do the same thing. I can write. I'm not that much of a writer. And I can change my focus to something general and specific and details, but not impersonal. Now I can get to specific details that are personal. The evidence of this includes close-up details of what God had created during the 6 days of creation. So it doesn't contradict chapter 1. It just pans in on the details of what that happened, specifically what happened in the Garden of Eden. It is a legitimate and common literary practice for an author to utilize terms and names which reflect a different point of view to a previous context he himself has written. I'm going to say himself to make it emphatic. You can do this, so can God. You can do it, surely God can. For example, a man might address a woman by her formal name at first, and then, after a while, begin to call her by a nickname indicating that a friendship has been established. This may then evolve into a close, intimate husband and wife relationship wherein endearments are used to address one another. When Moses was inspired by God to write the Hebrew word Elohim throughout chapter 1, this established that there was a one sovereign, almighty creator God.